All right, folks, this is John from Kindred Spirits. This is week 2 of We Don't Have a New Show for you because it's the off season. Wanted to give you a replay of our Anna Heilferty interview. I called myself the founder of the Heilferty Hive. I believe there are a lot of people who claim that, but if you consult the tapes and look at the Twitter history, I think it's me. So anyway, take a listen and enjoy this interview in case you missed it the first time, and we'll be back next week with another trip to the archive. Welcome into RFK Refugees. This is your host, John. Ted is off on assignment, and we are here today with Anna Heilferty from the Washington Spirit. How are you doing, Anna?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's get started. I like to start from, chronologically. I think makes a lot of sense in these conversations. So you went to Stewart High School. I think it's a new name. I think it's a new name now. I don't know what it is.
Justice. Yeah, Justice High School.
Justice. Okay. Well, you went there. I know. I played in men's adult baseball leagues on that high school field all the time. So I know it by its previous incarnation. But you were named the Women's Soccer Player of the Year by the Post. I looked up your stats from your senior year, and you scored 28 goals, including 7 goals in an 8-2 win over Falls Church High School. And my question is, what did they do to you? Like, what did Falls Church High School do to you? Were they natural rivals for your school, or what happened?
Yeah, they actually were. So that was kind of like a little bit of payback. I think it had gone back and forth throughout my time there. So it was good to finish on that note.
I think I think they probably have a picture. They probably have a memento of that game to never let that happen again. You destroyed them. So like I said, you're a local product from Falls Church. How great has it been for you? The obvious question, but getting to play in front of your family, particularly since you went away to school, you weren't local for school, so now they're getting to be there week in, week out, either at Segra or at Audi Field. What's that been like for you?
Yeah, it's been really fun, especially at Audi, just playing there in the home crowd. But yeah, to have my family around, just can pop in for a visit, get a home cooked meal, and then obviously, yeah, it's been fun to have them at the games now since at BU they weren't able to make as many, so definitely nice to have them in the stands.
Not quite as commutable from Falls Church, DC as to Boston. I also read that you're the first BU player to ever be drafted in the NWSL. What was your college playing experience like? So if you're the first one there, it's obviously not previously known as like an NWSL hotbed for previous picks like other schools. But what was your experience like for the 3 years you played there, right? Because the 4th year was COVID interrupted.
Yeah. It was overall, I loved being there. I loved being in the city. Nancy Feldman has a great program. So even though we don't have as many NWSL players, I think we just got another one signed from Spain. Kylie Strom's playing for Orlando. So that's awesome to have her in the league as well. But she has a great program. So I learned a lot. I was pushed a lot. And I think that's a lot of the reason why I'm here.
So I mentioned the last year being COVID interrupted, and you got to do something kind of unusual for the NWSL and also just unusual for college sports. There was a waiver sort of put in place for NCAA players that they could do other things and not lose their eligibility based on the fact that there were no games and no one could do anything. Mm-hmm. How important for you was that year spent training with the Spirit as far as both how your levels now, but also just sort of seeing what you're getting to maybe sell yourself, I guess. It's like a internship basically with the Spirit. How important was that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was unexpected. The last year was crazy in all sorts of ways, but I think I wouldn't have changed it, and I think it definitely helped me a lot. I was able to, be under their eyes and develop as a player, and kind of see the system that Washington Spirit works with. And yeah, it was really important for me to get good training before I went into the draft, just mental preparation, physical preparation, and then to be with a team that's in the NWSL obviously was an added bonus at the highest level I could play with. So it definitely worked out in my favor.
Before you did that, so, at the beginning of your junior year, were you already thinking like, all right, I think professional soccer is what I'm going to pursue? Or was this training opportunity sort of the thing that made you say, okay, I'm at this level, I can certainly compete here? What was the mindset going into that opportunity?
Yeah, so that was something I talked a lot about with my college coach, just getting this opportunity and then kind of seeing how I fell within this level and like, okay, maybe I need another year at college to develop, or is this something I'm like, let's do it. I want to get into it as soon as I can. And so after coming into this final year and not being able to have my season, it was kind of like, let's see how this experience goes. And then we'll decide, will I take my like a fifth year with my school? So after it, I kind of decided like 100% like this is what I want to do, and I want to try and see how far I can make it and see what comes from it. So definitely worked with my college coach and a lot, just talking through that and making that decision.
Good choice, clearly. You made the right call. Richie, I've asked Richie about you a couple times in media availability. He talks about how in the future he looks forward to you playing further up the field, maybe you're in your natural position, but that you've grabbed the opportunity that you've been given with both hands. And is this something you anticipated? Is this something sort of in that year of training they were sort of looking at, the players they had, the style they wanted to play, and then sort of getting you? Did he immediately see you in that position, or is this more of a we've got to find a way to get you onto the field, and this is where we need people? What's the thought process behind that, both for you and the team?
I mean, I think credit is due to just the culture of the team. It's kind of like everyone's competing every day. So when an opportunity is there, like you want to be able to grab it. And so I think everyone's prepared to step into whatever position is available. And so with like the Olympics coming up, there was kind of a natural shift. We lost so much in our back line. A lot, like 5 key players, I think four. I don't know how many exactly, but obviously a lot just in our back line. So I had started to kind of shift into training more in the outside back position. And from there, he kind of like, we talked about it a lot, but just as an opportunity for me to be on the field, and that like from my work rate, I deserved to be on there. So I just needed to take the opportunity and run with it.
I think that was something that Paige said in an interview recently. I'm not sure if it was our interview or with Jason on Plex Weather, but she was talking about how the difference for the Spirit and a lot of other teams around the NWSL is that young players know that if they work hard in training, an opportunity will present itself. There's a culture about giving people opportunities and not necessarily pulling it away right away once you get it. Like basically, if you do well, and I think you're a great example of this. Like if you're given an opportunity and it goes well and you can repeat it, then that's where you are. You're staying in the lineup because you've done a great job. Is that you feel like that's an accurate sort of representation about what it feels like to be a young player on the Spirit?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think there's like that mentality to work as hard as you can, because since it's such a long season, there's going to be injuries. This year with the Olympics, there's going to be opportunities to step in. So being ready for those.
So for people who didn't get to watch you in college and only know you from the games you played so far in the Spirit, and knowing that you played further up the field, obviously in high school and in college, what kind of attacking player are you? So say the future state happens, it's later this year or maybe next year, and we're looking at you elsewhere. What kind of player are you? What do you like to do?
I definitely would say I like 1v1. I definitely liked being on the flank, going down, crossing it in, but I like playmaking, like long balls. Yeah, I would say I was like in college, like 1v1, like kind of feisty player on the wing. So
We like that. That's good. That's a good thing. You sort of alluded to this. We talked to Tegan about how the Olympics were going to create opportunities for a number of players, and obviously you're one of them. This was known, right? I know that some of the players. I think Tegan was saying, like Richie said, your time is coming. You didn't start a lot of games at the beginning of the year, but there's going to be a time where we need you, and here's your opportunity. How do you assess how this month has gone? You've started. Is it every game? Have you started every game since the Olympics started? About that? It's been like 4 or 5 in a row,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, the North Carolina was the first one. Yeah.
A great win, a good thing to start on. So how do you assess how this time has gone for you?
I think overall I've enjoyed it. First of all, like I think I've enjoyed being a part of every stage of this team, being on the sideline, getting to be a sub, and now starting. It's just like a fun environment to play in. But obviously playing and starting is it's the cherry on top.
Right.
It's the most fun. But I think it's gone well. I think I've learned a lot. Like every game, I'm like, wow, I learned this lesson, or I learned, like, it's just such a good way to learn on the fly. Like like the league is relentless. So it's like constantly I'm like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. So I think it's been good, and I've just learned a lot from the past 5 games.
You got a player of the match award. Was that last game or the one before that? I think it was
Last game,
last game.
Chicago, yeah.
Well, you go. That's another thing to put. That's a thing to put in the resume for this year. So in playing that new position that you've been playing, what are you focusing on week to week at getting better at? Obviously, like you said, you're liking to go down the wing and take players on and crossing the ball. You're still going to do that for the most part. But what sort of new skills, or not necessarily new skills, but things that you didn't focus on as much in college, are you now having to sort of sharpen from a week to week basis? One-on-one defending, or?
Yeah, I think defensively, like positioning, like how important it is, cutting off lanes, making it easier for Paige to read the play, making it easier, like organizing the players in front of me to help me. I think like a big part that I need to work on is like just my communication. I'm not as vocal, so like picking that up more so that we can be more cohesive as a defensive unit.
Well, I think that's a pretty common thing for young players. I don't think a lot of college players don't come out like, oh, I'm going to just talk. I'm going to yell at all these players in front of me all the time. That's a rare skill, I think, that assertiveness. What's been the biggest adjustment? So not necessarily positionally, but what's been the biggest adjustment for you to the pro game? I always talk about the rookie wall that players sort of face when they get into this, particularly in the Mid-Atlantic, where you're playing a whole bunch of games in a shorter period of time, way more games than you played in college, in hot, humid situations. Are you feeling that? And then aside from that, so what other things have you noticed? Like, is it the speed of play? What's been the biggest adjustment for you feeling comfortable in the professional game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of everything physically, like the game, like playing 90 minutes, you just can't replicate ever. So getting into those games in the beginning, definitely like getting my fitness up over the past couple games. And then speed of play, it's always like as the season goes on, it just gets faster and faster, and teams get better at that. So, continuing to keep my head up and play fast. And yeah, I mean, I think from game to game, like we obviously had a tough game in Chicago, but putting that in the rear mirror and just, moving forward to make sure we're focused on the next game.
You've been lucky to not have too many of those type of games so far this year. I think I was talking to Andy about her first season here, and she had a different experience for her rookie season. It was a little bit less fun, more Chicago games, less North Carolina wins. I think
I've heard about that. So
yeah. Speaking of her, you said in an interview with the Washingtonian that she was your favorite player in high school. And what's it like to play with every week, play with your favorite player? And did you say that just to make her feel really old? When she is not old.
No, I didn't mean it to come off that way. But yeah, I mean, I think growing up with a player that came from the same area and then is playing for the local professional team is something that drew me in, and then obviously just an amazing technical, like strong player defensively, offensively. So playing with her, I think, has been one of my favorite parts. I mean, she's an amazing leader, and I think she pushes everyone else so much and holds everyone to such a high standard that, like, I personally feel like I've grown so much just like from her little comments and like feedback that she's given me. So yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed playing with her, and full circle it feels like.
Yeah, and with the formation you guys play, she's literally beside you quite often.
Yep.
It seems to happen. You're getting to play balls to her pretty frequently because she's taking the ball out of the back lot. Anna, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you if they want to follow you on social media or anything like that?
I think just at Anna Heilferty is at _Anna.
Simple.
Yeah.
Easy to find. Smart. I think that's the way to do it, as opposed to some other. I think most of the players are pretty good at that. I think Ashley Hatch has like Hatchy with a bunch of numbers, so maybe not everybody else seems to have gotten the message. You and Ashley Sanchez, Ashley.Sanchez. I'm like, it's easy.
Yeah.
All right, great. So again, thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening to this podcast. If you are hearing this on Thursday night, that means you are a Patreon subscriber, and I appreciate you. If you're hearing this on Friday, I still appreciate you because you're listening to our podcast, but you could have gotten it a day earlier. If you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/RFK Refugees. And we are also live every Monday night at 8:30 on Twitch. So that the address is obvious, twitch.tv/RFK Refugees. So if you want to see us live and engage in the show, do that. And then finally, we're starting to do post-game shows, I think, now, because we just can't get enough of talking to you about our local soccer team. So if the Spirit or DC United play a game, go to twitch.tv/RFK Refugees after it, and we will be taking calls and talking about it. So that is all of my advertisement for the week. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back with our normal show on Monday night at 8:30. Vamos.